Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the podcast that I, your host, David Woodruff, lovingly refer to as the Woodruff Report. You could call this an episode, but, you may be kidding yourself. This is more of a tiny little preview snippet of an episode. It's not going to be as long as usual, just a preview of this weekend's NFL games because we've got AFC and NFC championships. In the AFC, we have the Patriots versus the upstart Jacksonville Jaguars, and in the NFC, we have the Vikings versus the Eagles. Big games. Who's going to play February 4th in the Super Bowl in Minnesota? Could the Vikings be one of the very few teams ever to play a Super Bowl in their home stadium? That would surely be a spectacle. We'll find out. On Sunday, the Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars will get us started off, and the Eagles-Vikings game will follow that. So let's start with a preview of the AFC Championship game, the long-standing superpower of the AFC, New England Patriots, versus these young, upstart Jacksonville Jaguars, who for the past however many years have basically toiled in irrelevance at the bottom of the AFC, basically getting those top 5 picks every year. So what is the main matchup in this game? And it's sort of interesting. I mean, I'm tempted to say it's going to be Brady versus the Jaguars defense, but last week in the divisional round, the Jaguars faced an offense with arguably more superpower on it. Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and that crew of Steelers. And it was really the Jaguars' offense that controlled the game and were the main reason why they were able to be successful. Obviously, the 42 points the Steelers scored were deceiving. They had a garbage time touchdown and were limited in key moments, but the defense wasn't leading the way. I mean, the final score wasn't something like 10-3 like the Bills game in the wild card. So it was the offense that carried the Jaguars, and that's what makes them such a interesting team going into the game. You don't know if it's going to be the offense that carries them, surprisingly like they did in the Steelers game, or the defense that will carry them like has happened all season and in the wild card round. I mean, just based on the numbers, it's going to be Brady versus the defense. That's the most intriguing matchup. The Jaguars have the best defense in the NFL. They have a terrific front. They have incredible coverage on the back end, and they've got young, explosive, fast linebackers. Look no further than Miles Jack and a run stuffer in Paul Posluszny up in the middle. And it's that front that really is going to cause problems because the best bet to stop Brady is to get people in his face and get him off his spot and a little uncomfortable. And these Jaguars can do that. You've got Dante Fowler Jr. off the edge. You've got big ol' Calais Campbell in the middle, Marcel Darius. I mean, this is a stacked front. And if anybody can get pressure on Brady, even with the quick release that Brady's famous for, I mean, he gets the ball out in like under 2 or 3. He gets the ball out in like 3 seconds every play. But this Jaguars defense has the potential to really be able to bottle them up. You've got Jalen Ramsey, you've got A.J. Bouye, you've got Barry Church, you've got great coverage on the outside, and then you've got the front, as I alluded to before. So the run game, at least looking at it from the outside today, it looks like the run game is going to be a non-factor for New England, and it's going to be the quick passing. Will that be able to get going against this vaunted Jaguars D? Do the Patriots have enough firepower wide receiver wise? I mean, we all know the greatness of Brady, but are Amendola and Hogan and Brandon Cooks able to get separation, get an area for Brady to throw it into? Because if they're open, Brady will find them. And then on the flip side of this, the Jaguar offense going against the new-look Patriots defense. The Patriots defense looked very vulnerable at the beginning of the season, but they've stepped it up to become one of the NFL's best in the second half. So will Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette and those wide receivers, Jaden Mickens, the crew that the Jaguars have on offense be able to score any points? Because as good as their defense is, you're going to have to score points to beat Brady. That's the only recipe. It's just how many can you limit him to. Blake Bortles will need to be good again. We're not expecting him to move mountains or anything. But he can't make costly turnovers, no interceptions, no bad exchanges or anything. Get the ball to Leonard Fournette, and then on third down, convert. Get it to your speedsters. Get it to Marquise Lee. Get it to those guys on the outside and let it do your thing. A key for the Jaguars is going to be Blake Bortles doesn't need to win the game with his arm. Use his feet when he has to. He's been very good at that through the playoffs. In the Bills game, he ran. He used his feet well to get those clutch third downs. He did so again against the Steelers. He was able to use his rushing to keep the defense on the back foot and let that offensive line work and Leonard Fournette pound inside. So that's going to be the key for the Jaguars on offense. Can they establish themselves? Can they control time of possession, keep the ball out of Brady's hands, and let the skill position guys do their thing? Or are they getting stuffed on first and second down and Blake Bortles throwing, forced to be Drew Brees back there, forced to throw the ball 20 times? Because that's not a recipe for success for this Jacksonville team. That's not the way they've won this season. So, Jaguars, Patriots, an odd game, one that many people did not see coming in the AFC Championship, but an intriguing matchup. If I'm the Patriots, I'm scared of this Jaguars team. Out of anybody left in the field, maybe besides the Vikings, they're the team that scares me the most because this defense is scary, and this front especially is going to present many problems for a Patriots O-line that has looked shaky at times this season and can be exploited. So let's move across to the NFC Championship game now for a quick preview. You've got Vikings-Eagles, a quarterback matchup that nobody, and I guarantee nobody, saw coming at the beginning of the season. You've got Nick Foles for the Eagles going up against Case Keenum of the Vikings. Just a quick side note, we could potentially see a Nick Foles, Blake Bortles, or a Case Keenum, Blake Bortles Super Bowl. Just let that sink in. Pretty crazy, isn't it? That's the greatness of the NFL right there. Anybody's got a shot. Anybody. Anyway, back to the game. So the Vikings got to the NFC Championship courtesy of an incredible game against the Saints. You've probably all seen the last touchdown play to Stephon Diggs. He's running into the end zone with no time remaining. Everyone's going nuts. Incredible. But the Vikings are, again, this Eagles team is not the Saints. They have a very good defense, and they've got an offense that does enough, similar to the Jaguars. The Eagles really won that game against the Falcons with their defense. 15 points may not be enough against this Vikings team. So, just like they did against the Saints, the Vikings need to establish themselves early. They got out to a 17-0 lead at halftime and forced the Saints to go to comeback mode. And the greatness of Drew Brees really propelled the Saints back into this game, but Nick Foles is no Drew Brees. If you as a Vikings team get out in front, this Eagles team is going to struggle to catch you, especially with the vaunted defense that the Vikings have. Keys to the game for Philly are going to be the run game because you're not going to be able to throw the ball much on this Vikings defense. You've got Xavier Rhodes lockdown. You've got Harrison Smith and Andrew Sendejo back at the safety position, two of the game's best. So you've got a lockdown defensive back secondary, and Nick Foles probably isn't going to be able to exploit that very much. So can Jay Ajayi get going? Can LeGarrette Blount pound it inside? Can you rush the ball on first, second, and third down and keep a drive going? Can you get a first down? The Vikings are going to need to run behind that O-line. It's an injured O-line, but Nick Foles, similar to Blake Bortles, like I said before, there are so many similarities between this Eagles game and the Jaguars game. Can the Vikings force the Eagles to have Nick Foles win the game for them? Because I don't think Nick Foles is going to be able to. He's a decent quarterback. I wouldn't say he's one of the best in the NFL by any stretch. So can the Vikings keep the ball in Nick Foles' hands? Are they forcing third and long? Are they forcing Nick Foles to try to force the issue and throw into tight windows? Can they get turnovers and give Case Keenum a short field? Because Case Keenum is the better quarterback in this matchup. He's played well down the stretch this whole season. He's been able to get the ball in Diggs' hands. He's been able to get the ball in Adam Thielen's hands and let them work their magic. The keys for the Vikings are going to be, can Thielen and Diggs make as much of an impact as they have been all season. It doesn't seem to matter who throws them the ball. They're going to get theirs. They're going to score a few tutties. They're going to get over 100 yards each, maybe. Can they do this against a very good Eagles defense? If they can, and they can put up maybe 28, 35 points, they're going to win this game guaranteed. If the Eagles are able to keep this a low-scoring game and keep it close to the final minutes, you never know what can happen, especially in playoff football. The Vikings need look no further than last week against the Saints. Anything can happen. So, NFC Championship, Vikings-Eagles, that's the later game on Sunday. I'm sure you're excited. I'm incredibly excited to watch some playoff football. So, before we leave, let's look into the Woodruff Report crystal ball. Who will be in the Super Bowl? Who is going to win their matchup? Let's start in the AFC. Jaguars-Patriots. Who's going to win? Looking into the crystal ball. Searching. Jaguars win 24-17. Blake Bortles does enough. This defense gets stops down the stretch. They can't completely shut out Brady, but they do enough. And Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette do it on the biggest stage. Jaguars are in the Super Bowl, according to the Woodruff Report crystal ball. Looking in the NFC now. Rubbing the crystal ball. Searching. Vikings come out 31-17 winners. This game was the Vikings from the beginning. They're propelled by the momentum that they had from their previous game against the Saints. Case Keenum is a man on a mission. He's getting the ball out to Diggs and Thielen. Foles struggles early, and the Vikings get out to a big lead like they did against the Saints, and the Eagles cannot claw their way back. So we've got a Vikings-Jaguars Super Bowl that is according to the Woodruff Report crystal ball. Please don't get too mad if it's incorrect, but this is probably going to be what happens. The Woodruff Report crystal ball, it has a way of coming true. So just thought that I'd come out with a quick preview episode for these upcoming NFL games. I will definitely do a full episode after the games are final and after we see what happens, and a Super Bowl preview, all very exciting. Again, thanks for listening. This is your host, David Woodruff, with another edition of the Woodruff Report. See you soon.